everybody. It's really nice to have you here, wherever you're from and whatever capacity you're here in. I know on other evenings we've had a mixture. We've had church leaders, clergy, we've had school governors, we've had teachers, learning support workers, we've had church workers, schools workers from churches, all kinds of different people. So you're really welcome wherever you're from and whatever role you have. So the aim, I didn't introduce us. So I'm Liz Ogborn and Jane is Jane Gillis. And I will pin myself in a minute. I'll just pin myself so that you can, are you pinned? No, you're not. Let me pin you as well, Jane. Right. And yes, so we are both ex-teachers, quite a few years ago now. And then we also used to work for churches as schools workers in Bristol for two big churches in Bristol. And then we became Bristol Schools Connection. And our heart really is to equip the local church to serve and bless the life of the local school. And that looks like all kinds of different things, supporting them to do creative RE, assemblies, take cakes, hear readers, whatever it is, whatever way the church can bless the school and build a relationship with them. That's what we support and help them to do. We also create resources, particularly this year, because we haven't been able to do, or the people we're in contact with around the city aren't able to get into school. So we've done some supporting of them, but we've also created some resources. And this second one is Easter in a Box. You might have heard us saying to Lisa, we created chatting with Lisa about Christmas in a Box, and then we've created Easter in a Box. So the idea of tonight is to just in the next hour to introduce it to you, to emphasize initially that we're in the pilot phase of this resource because, for understandable reasons, nobody's actually used it in school yet. But we're excited that we've got a bunch of churches in Bristol who are going to use it. Maybe some of you will use it this year, if not next year, hopefully. But because it's a pilot phase, if you do use it, we would absolutely love you to give us feedback. And we will send some feedback forms around in a week or so, a couple of weeks, that you can use if that's helpful. But we would really love feedback because we're still honing it. We'd like to improve it for next year. So we really value your comments on how it went, whether it worked, which bits worked well, which perhaps didn't. So that would be great. Okay, so when we were creating this resource, we were wondering how we could create a really fresh way for churches to share the Easter story with their local schools. And the Easter story it's a very powerful story, isn't it? It's a story of real wonder, and it's a story of real depth, spiritual depth. And it's got this arc to it, hasn't it? This journey through struggle and pain and suffering and out the other side to joy and hope and life. And in that sense, it's really the arc of the human journey, isn't it? There's not many humans that wouldn't relate to that arc of going through suffering and coming out the other side and finding that there was some kind of treasure in that pathway. And it's because it's the human story, it's told over and over again, isn't it? In countless books and movies, it's the same story. And so we decided that maybe a fresh way to tell this story is through Easter the movie. And so we've created it such that children are invited onto an imaginary movie set, and they're watching the scenes of the Easter story unfold before their eyes in their own imaginations, and they're responding to that. So we wanted to create something that was really fun, but that also retained that appropriate respect and sobriety for the story. And it gives children a chance to sort of almost watch the story unfolding from a slightly safe distance for those scenes, which are quite challenging. Like Christmas in a Box, we wanted to create something really active, that was an active learning experience for the children, something that was really tactile, something that was fun, something experiential, but something very spiritual as well. And something that was for everyone, for all children, whatever their worldview, their family has, or what background they come from. So that's what we've tried to do. So the way this evening's going to go is that I'm going to introduce the resource to you briefly in a moment, for a few minutes, and then Jane, who has got the actual physical resource there, if you can see it over her shoulder there, she's got the physical resource there, and she is going to unpack the first 2 boxes for you as if she's with a group of children, kind of, just so that you can actually see the resource, how you unpack it. There's a rhythm and a kind of ritual to it. And then she's going to briefly show you the objects in the other boxes as well. We'll just unpack the first 2 because the kind of rhythm is repeated for each box. So hopefully that will give you enough for a chance to get the hang of it. If you want to ask any questions as we go through, just pop them in the chat and we will get round to them. There'll also be a time to just ask questions in a bit as well out loud towards the end. And yeah, I'm hoping that some of you, have you all actually seen the resource? Because we've been posting a link to it on our social media. Can you just give me a wave if you've actually seen it? Seen the actual resource? Yeah, a couple of you, but not all of you. Okay, fantastic. That's helpful to know. Great. So what we'll be doing is we'll be posting a link to the resource. It's totally free. Obviously, it costs money to for you to put it together, but the actual user guide and the downloadable resources and all those things we've created are for free. And we'll pop that in the chat for you in a couple of moments. In fact, Jane, do you want to pop that there now? And then you can see where the resource is for when we're finished. It's yours to help yourself too. Okay, so I'm going to kick off by sharing my screen with you. I'm just going to fill it out here so that I've got the right things happening. There, I'm hoping maybe Jane can give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen. Great, excellent. Okay, so Easter in a box. The way I'm going to briefly introduce it is by showing you the first page of the user guide, which will be available from that link. So Easter in a Box, the movie, is a resource aimed at primary school children, ideally probably in years 4 to 6. It creates an imaginative space to explore the Christian Easter story together. The children are invited to imagine they're on a movie set watching the filming of Easter the movie. The movie is based on the biblical account of Easter week. And for each scene, there's a pattern. They look at a cast list for that scene. They handle the props from that scene, which is what's in the boxes. Then they hear and imagine the scene being filmed. Then they discuss the emotions they experienced from that scene. And then they have a moment of wonder and reflection as they learn, they talk about and reflect on what they've learned and how it could apply to their own lives, whatever their worldview. It can be facilitated by church volunteers in school in ordinary times, of course. This year that may be possible. We know of some people who are going into school by Easter time, or actually already have been. Or some churches have found that this year they've had to get the resource together and then deliver it to the school for a teacher to facilitate in the classroom. And then sometimes people have taken part via live video link at the end of the children's session to answer questions, etc. So there's different ways. We're going to discuss much more about that a little bit later. So there are 2 key RE curriculum questions that the resource kind of answers. One is, what do Christians believe about the Easter story? And what can I learn from the Easter story and apply to my life? And it covers some RE skills. It covers some of what schools are required to cover in terms of spiritual, moral, social and cultural development for their students. And it also encourages good mental health and well-being through some of the activities that the children experience and take part in. So this is a picture of Easter in a Box, the movie, as you can see. And it's basically 6 small boxes of props, which are unpacked. And as they're unpacked, the plot of Easter the movie is revealed. The first box is the movie trailer box. You can see it here. And that sets the scene and the context for the movie, if you like, just like any good movie trailer. And it hopefully draws them in so that they want to watch the movie. Scene 1 is called Palm Sunday. And then scene 2 is the Last Supper. Scene 3 is in the Garden of Gethsemane. Scene 4 is the trial and crucifixion scene. And scene 5 is the resurrection scene. I'll say more about this little egg box here in a minute. So inside the movie trailer box is this map, and it's a movie set map. And it's what it says. It maps out the movie set. So we start here, scene 1, Palm Sunday, which takes place on a dusty road just outside Jerusalem. So as the children are imagining that scene, they know that they can picture the sort of scenery, the set, if you like. It's a dusty road outside Jerusalem. Scene 2, the Last Supper, the dining room of a house in Jerusalem. Scene 3 is in the garden, a quiet garden just outside the city. Scene 4, the trial and crucifixion, take place in a courtyard of the king's palace and a hill outside the city. And scene 5, the resurrection, happens in a garden of tombs. So this map is in the movie set trailer box, but it's in each one of the scene boxes as well. And it's in fact the first thing you pull out every time you open a new box, because it locates the children in the scene that they're about to unpack, and it helps them to picture the scene in their mind's eye. Okay. Also in the, so just in terms of the rhythm of unpacking the boxes, there are 4 steps. The first step is what's in the box. So you open the box, you take out the movie set map, you identify the current scene, there's a cast list to read, and then you take out the props one by one and ask 2 questions. What is this? And why is this here? So it's really just a conversation that evolves as you're pulling the props out and passing them around, and the children are holding them, passing them around to each other. You ask those 2 questions. So you're having a discussion about it. Secondly, you read the script. So you describe the scene using the props as prompts. Then there's a wonder moment. So wondering, responding, reflecting. Then there's the activity, which helps them apply and remember their learning. So that's the rhythm of unpacking each box. This is what's inside the movie trailer box. So you've got the map, and then you've got some props which are used to set the scene. And then you've got a couple of extra bits in the movie trailer box. You've got a clapperboard, and that's used, in fact, you could have one in every box, or you could take this one with you on all the other boxes, depending on how you arrange it. And that's to kind of signify the kind of lights, camera, action moment when you're about to read the script and they're going to hear about the scene. So that the clapperboard signifies that. You could get a kid, one of the children doing it, they'll love it. And then it also signifies when you finished that, and you know, they can clap it down and say it's a wrap or cut or something to signify that's the end of that scene. In the movie set trailer box, there's also a pile of these little emoji sheets, and each child has one, and they use those for their wonder moment. Those will be in the wonder moment bag to just track how they feel in response to the scene that they've just imagined and heard about. There's also a little activity bag which goes in each scene as well, in each box as well. Also in the movie trailer box, unlike all the others, there's an egg box for each child and a hollow egg. And they use the hollow egg as part of their wonder moment. The first bit of the wonder moment is, how do I feel about that scene? Tracking their emotions. And the second part of the wonder moment is, what would I say to one of the characters? So it's a different character. Sometimes it's Jesus, sometimes it's the disciples. What would I say to them in this scene? And then they write it on a slip of paper, pop it in the egg, and they keep it. So the egg box is theirs to keep. They decorate it in the first, when they're opening the movie trailer box, and it's where they put all the little activity things that they collect as they go around all the other boxes. So when they're finished, they have an egg box, or if you like, an Easter in a box of their own to take home. Okay, so in each of the other scene boxes, scene 1 to 5, there's a movie set map. There's a cast list showing who's in the scene. And then there are the props. So for the Last Supper, these are some of the props. And there's a wonder moment bag for when they wonder and they do their activity. Okay, so it's going to be easier to imagine all of this. It may sound a bit complex to begin with. Don't feel overwhelmed. It will all come clear and fit into a rhythm. So Jane is going to share with you now, unpacking the first couple of boxes so that you can see how it works.
Great. So I haven't got the disco scene like Lisa has, but here we go. So these are the boxes, 6 boxes, and they're the same boxes that I use for Christmas in a box, but just use different labels. And I've got a Easter in a box, the movie thing, and a nice ribbon on the top. So here we go. I'll put the computer back down and I'll get the first box out. Here we go. And like Liz said, it's really, really straightforward sort of rhythm that you get into. So imagining I'm with a group of children. Look, we got the movie trailer box out. Now, I would ask them, you know, what is a movie trailer? See what their answers are. Just check they know what a movie trailer is. Hopefully they'd say something like, you know, it's a short little movie that sets the scene for a really big film and hooks you in, tells you a little bit of the drama that's going to unfold, all right? So then we just start getting stuff out. So I've got a whole load of felt tips. They're going to be for later. I've got a clapper board. That's going to be for later as well, I think. And then let's literally just really straightforward. Some of these objects are similar to what we had in Christmas in a box. So there's a bit of overlap. So we've got a globe. So I'd be just saying to the kids, I wouldn't be actually saying it's a globe. I'd say, what's this? Getting it out, having a little look. Okay, we've got a globe. And then looking in there again. Okay, what have we got here? See what they say. Why is that in the movie trailer box for Easter the Story? What on earth we got all this stuff for? Look, we've got a card. Get one of them to open it up. Okay, let's have a look what it is. Look, it's a wonderful nativity scene. Fantastic. Okay, really intricate. But obviously I wouldn't say it. I'd say, you know, what is this? Why do you think that's in there? And having a nice discussion with them. And I've got another card in there. He is risen. What's that? Easter card. Great. Wonder why that's in there. And we've got a bandage here that says heals, forgives, welcomes. Why is that in there? What is it? Okay. And then what else have I got? A bag with some paper. That's for later. That's for later. Okay, look. Oh, we've got a cross. All right, cross. Why is that in there? Why is that in our movie trailer box? And a couple of other little things. That's for later. Our movie set map. And then I've got a picture here. Who are these people? See if they know. It's supposed to be the religious people. See if they know that. And we're hoping that before the children do this Easter in a box, that they will have actually heard the story before. So you've got a layer of understanding of the story, so that they might have read it from a Bible or something the week before. So here we go. So you'd have all that discussion about these objects, and then literally I'm using the script that we've got on our user guide. And I then say, okay, right, we've had that discussion. We're going to do a little bit pretty much of filming the movie trailer. So I'd get one of them to go like that, pa-chang, and I'd go, right, let's film it. I'm going to say what is going on. So bear with me, everyone. I'm going to find all my things. Where have I put that? Somewhere. Here it is. Right, okay, here we go. So I would go from the makers of The Christmas Story. Now comes Easter the movie. The story continues as Jesus grows up and shows just how much God loves the world and all the people. Baby Jesus has grown up. Baby Jesus has grown up and shows just how much he loves the world. Okay, and he's been healing. He's been busy making a lot of people's lives better. He's been healing the sick, forgiving people who've messed up, and welcoming everyone. And Jesus has been saying that although the world is a messy place and people's lives can be messy too, God still loves the world and all the people, and has a plan to make everything right again and good again. But some of the religious leaders, where's my religious leaders one? Here we go. But some of the local religious leaders hate Jesus. He hangs out with all the wrong people, and they're jealous that so many of them love and admire him. Will they succeed in their plan to get rid of Jesus? Tell you what, everything's in the wrong place today. Here we go. Will they succeed? The Easter the movie will take you on a roller coaster ride. There will be drama, there will be adventure, there will be pain and sadness. But like all good superhero movies, good wins in the end. Okay, Pachang. And you might want to, I don't think we've written it in, but you might want to go bang, right, great, done. So that's the sort of movie trailer, that's reading the script. And then I'd say to them, okay, this is getting exciting now. We're going to set the whole sort of thing up here. We've got all these scenes to visit, all right? All these scenes to visit. Show them the movie trailer map and go, right, we're going to go round, not the movie trailer map, the movie set map. We're going to go around these different scenes of the Easter movie. We're going to watch them in our own imaginations. Each of us are going to have different feelings as we watch it. And we're going to track how we're feeling. So each of them, I'd give, out of my little Wonder Moment bag, I'd give them, okay, a little emoji sheet. And we'd also give them one of these each, little egg box each. And what's quite clever is the emoji sheet fits in the lid quite nicely. So, okay, they're going to get one of those. So they're going to track how they're feeling as we go through and see the different scenes. And I'd be saying, right, we've got a little egg each, and we're going to write messages to the characters in the story as we go along. And that clapperboard, well, tell you what, they're going to be wanting to have a go with this. Pachang doing the sort of scenes as we go along, like a real movie set. Great. So that's going to tell us when the action starts. And then you'd go on to, so after doing all that, explaining all the things in the box and having a chat with them, you'd go on to your sort of wonder moments. We've got these wonder moment bags. And in this one, hopefully, actually, here we go. In here, we've got some strips of paper. And the wonder moment with this is just to sort of track. I mean, you could do the emotions, just go, how are you feeling at the beginning of this movie? Get them to have a look at the emoji sheet. But then also just get them to write a little message. What would you want to say to Jesus at the beginning of this movie? All right, what do you want to say to Jesus? A little message, roll it up, stick it in your egg, which goes in your egg box. And that's their sort of wonder moment. And then a little bit more of an activity to do is they will love this, decorating their egg box, making it Easter themed. And what I love about that is it's going to provide a really lovely opportunity just to chat, see where they're coming from, see what their faith is or their worldview is. And yeah, have a nice opening discussion about it all. It's going to be a chance for you also to then say that Christians believe that all of this stuff that we're going to be going through, all the scenes, that actually Christians believe these things happened 2,000 years ago in a place called Israel. And yeah, just start that conversation off. Great. Good.
Okay, Jane, I'm going to give Jane a moment to pack up that first bag and box. Didn't she do well? There's more to come. But obviously, just to bear in mind that when you're doing this with the children, you won't be having to present it on a laptop. So you won't be, you won't have it all over the place. You'll have got everything out. You'll be sat round a table with a group of children, or they'll be at their desk tables and they'll be passing them around. It won't be quite as, not that it's chaotic, Jane, you're doing brilliantly, but it will be, less like that. They'll be passing the props around, they'll be wondering, be talking about it. So just to bear that in mind as you're watching. So I think Jane's gonna
I'm ready.
Scene one. Great.
Ready for more chaos. Here we go. So scene one. We've done the movie trailer. Scene one. And again, exactly the same sort of rhythm going on, apart from with each of these scenes, the first things to really take out are the cast list. And got a bit of a light shining there, sorry, cast list. And we've got the movie set map. So I would get one of the children to read it out. I'd go, okay, well, what's our cast list? Who's on this one? So a large crowd of people of all ages, Jesus's friends, Jesus, religious leaders. And we're at scene one, the Palm Sunday. We also look on the map and go, okay, well, where's scene one? Okay, Palm Sunday, a dusty road outside of Jerusalem. Okay, right, good. Now, I then literally same sort of thing, just getting the stuff out and going, what is this and why is it here? So I'd get out that religious leaders. Why is that there? Anyone know? Anybody remember with this story? We've got donkey, not a horse, a donkey. That's interesting. That's in there. Let's have another little look. What have we got? We've got this. What is that? See if they know. Palm branch. Okay. Why is that in there? Why is that important in this scene? Oh, look, we got an actual tree. What type of tree is it? Palm tree. I've got this, which is a cloak. That's interesting. What's that in there for? And I've got a sign. Oh, yeah, Jerusalem. We've just seen that on the map. Okay, so a sign. Great. And okay, we've got our clapperboard. That's going to be useful for when we film this scene. Okay, we've got some speech bubbles. I wonder who said these. Why are they in there? Who is this man? Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. See if they've got anything to say about that. And again, that lovely chat about what is this and why is it in here? And then choose one of the children. And this is when you want, right, lights, camera, action. It's going to be quiet and you read the script. Okay, you could let them hold up different props. And here we go. So lights, camera, action, boom. So the scene opens on a dusty road just outside Jerusalem. There are people everywhere. They've come to the city for the Passover festival. People shout greetings to each other across the road. They haven't seen each other since last year's Passover. There's an air of excitement. Suddenly we hear cheering and shouting. People are breaking branches from the palm trees on the edge of the road and waving them. Someone is coming along the road. It must be someone important. A lot of people are looking to see who it is. Enter stage right, a man riding on a young donkey, emerging from amongst the crowds, waving and smiling. It's Jesus. The people are shouting, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Others are asking, who is this man? People are taking off their cloaks and laying them down on the road in front of Jesus. They are treating him like a king. Enter stage left, the religious leaders, the ones who hate Jesus. They look angry. One of them mutters crossly, there is nothing that can be done. Everyone in the world is following Jesus. And then get one of the children to go, it's a wrap. Bang. Done. So yeah, that's reading the script. And then you go on to go, okay, well, what's our wonder moment in here? And the wonder moment consists of two things on their little emoji sheet, just going, okay, let's just pause. How did you feel watching that scene? All right, and get them to pick one or two emojis to chat about it, to have a nice discussion. And it's the process rather than what they're picking. There's no right or wrong. Let's just have a chat about it. And then their other thing with their wonder moment is to, again, a little bit of a sheet of strip of paper and writing a message to, this time, the religious leaders. Write them a message on a strip of paper. What would you want to say to them during this scene or after this scene? Okay. So that's that bit. And then there should be, oh, Liz, this is like the disaster. Where have I put these ones? There should be a wonder moment bag. Oh, it is in here. It is in here. It's okay. Panic over. We've had some training bits where I put them all in the wrong boxes. Here we go. Wonder moment bag. And then this is the activity. I've got loads of really nice little bits of, you could get these wooden or you could get them cardboard. Little bits of bunting, and so you just talk about the crowds were so happy to see Jesus coming into Jerusalem. Who or what makes you happy? What makes you cheer? They get about 3 each. They can colour them in. Nice chance to chat. They could draw something that makes them happy on there. A little bit of string. They can make their own little bit of mini bunting, and they can then stick that in their egg box. Wherever my egg box has gone. Here we go. My egg box, and the message would go in your egg. And obviously you've got your emoji sheet, and then you could put your bit of bunting in there. So you're collecting things from the scenes. So yeah, great.
Fantastic. Well done, Jane. Doing well so far. Yeah, you're getting a round of applause, which is great. Okay, so just while Jane gathers herself together, hopefully you're getting into the feel of the rhythm of each box, and you can probably pick up that the children would be becoming more familiar with the rhythm as well. So it's that same rhythm. Look at the map, movie set map, read the cast list, explore the props. Try not to like give them too many answers at that point. They're just wondering and exploring. And then read the script, and then the wonder moment, and then the activity, and then collecting in their box. So that's the rhythm. So we're not going to go through the other boxes in the same detail. We're just going to quickly show you a few of the things inside.
Okay, great. I know that when I managed to do Christmas in a box with a very small group of children, actually in person, and they loved the rhythm of it. They absolutely loved it. You know, when kids get into the rhythm, they're going like, well, where's that wonder moment bag? And I want to do that next little bit, and so on. So here we go. Scene 2 we're on, and it's the Last Supper. And as Liz said, I'm not going to go through that whole rhythm, but you get the gist of it. The first thing that I would do, cast list, movie set map, working out where you are on it. And then I'll just quickly show you the things in there. I've got religious leaders again, because they feature. I've got a cup. I've got a bag that's going to have some flatbread in it. I've got a table runner, sort of rustic table runner. I've got grapes, a plate. I've got a really nice candle in here. Quick. It's wrapped up because it's nice and protected. Here we go, nice little candle. Set that all out, it'll be quite a nice little scene. And I've got my clapperboard again. So that's that. My wonder moment in here would obviously be, again, it's the emoji sheet that they've already got on writing, you know, clocking how they're feeling. And it's writing a little message to someone in the scene. And then the wonder moment bag with the activity in this one is some nice little wooden key rings, where it's talking about remembering people and things and memories. So they get to keep one of those with a sort of memory on that they're going to draw, something they want to remember, and all these things fit in the egg box. So that's that one.
Great. Are you going to go on to the next one?
Yeah, just creating a little bit of space. Hang on. One more.
Breathe easy, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves.
We got one little more, otherwise I'll get in a right old state. Here we go. Good. Okay, number 3. I'll do it super quick. Number 3, we've got in the garden. So again, same rhythm, cast list, movie set map, and then here's all the nice things that I've got in here. And we've gone for quite nice tactile things that they'll get it with. Okay, so what's that? Olive branch, got some praying hands, wooden ones. I've got an angel, I've got nice trees, a sword, I've got a wall, I've got a hedge, a couple more trees, set it all up. A Garden of Gethsemane sign, a whole load of rocks. I love rocks. Here we go, a whole load of rocks. And I've got in here just to keep it safe, like you would if you were on a movie set trying to keep the props nice and safe. We've got a little tiny cute little lantern because it was dark. All right, so again, getting all those out. Why are they there? I've got another little one just in case we're all doing it, you know, might do it simultaneously with different people, which we'll explain in a minute. So I've got another one there. And again, you track the feelings using the emoji sheet, and you'd write a message to one of the characters and stick it in your egg. And then in here, I don't know whether in your activity little pack, again, connecting with their lives. A lot of people have been doing these throughout the last year, sending these tiny little pocket hugs, which are quite cute, and just reminding people they're not alone. And so I've got a little bag with a few examples of those in, and then I've got a ton of blank ones so they can make their own for someone, or maybe they want to make one for themselves, remembering we're not alone, there's people around us that help us, and so on and so on, connecting to their lives. So that's that one. Great. Just give me one little mo.
So fantastic. So each time in the script, there's a little link to the activity. So it will say something about the scene they've just witnessed. So for instance, in that one, it was Jesus felt very alone in the garden. When have you felt alone? Perhaps you know someone else who feels lonely at the moment. Make a pocket hug. It could be for yourself or for your friend. So there's a link between the scene and the activity each time. Similarly, with the Last Supper, it was Jesus gave bread and wine to help people remember him. Who do you like to remember? What event or person do you like to remember? So there's a very clear, distinct link between the scene and the activity. Scene 4, we're nearly there.
Right. Scene 4, here we go. Scene 4, again, like we said, you hopefully get in the rhythm now. Really, really, really simple. The map, the cast list, read that, look at it, and then all the stuff. What a angry mob going on there. What's that in there for? A cross, a hammer. There we go. From the, it's got the same one in the Christmas box as well. A sponge on a stick. Got some things here. Are you really a king? Crucify him. You've said it yourself. So little speech bubbles. A red robe from one of the soldiers. A crown of thorns. And we've got right underneath here a whole load of slightly rusticy looking nails. Again, it's all a bit out of proportion, but I think the children are going to be very, very forgiving with that, with their imaginations. Little clapperboard. And yeah, again, you do the emoji sheet, you write a message to, I think it's the disciples in that one, in that scene. I think it's, it might be Jesus actually in this scene. And then here we've got, I don't know whether you've seen scratch cards. This is in the Wonder Moment bag. And they turn into beautiful, beautiful, like all rainbow sort of stuff when you scratch them. So I've got all these little wooden styluses. And again, that's about, I mean, you can read the script, but it's basically about good stuff coming out of things that looks pretty dark. And thinking about that in this scene, but also thinking about it in our own lives and so on. So yeah, that's a nice one. They'll love doing that. Great, that's
Great.
that.
Well done, Jane. So that's, yeah, as Jane said, that's a kind of link between, you know, although Good Friday is a very sad day, Christians call it Good Friday, and kind of just thinking about that, why they call that something so difficult, Good Friday, and about, you know, the treasure and the result that comes out of that for Christians. So that's where the kind of scratching off the rainbows from the black comes from. Great. Final scene. We're up to the finale.
Wonderful, last one, and it is the resurrection. Okay, so again, really nice rhythm. They'll be well and truly getting into it by this point. So we've got the cast list, we've got the map, and then the objects. What is this? Why is it in there? Okay, so there we go, the scene. We've got, I quite like this, that we're using some of the things from the Christmas in a box one. So we've got a little pot of myrrh, quite significant that I've got that out of my Christmas in a box resource. Couple of trees, and what else have I got? A whole load of rocks. I'll get out a few of them. A whole load of rocks that you can do a nice rocky scene with. I've got an angel, and I've got a pile of grave clothes. Okay, and then we've got the clapperboard again. And yeah, again, you track the emotions and do the little message to Jesus, I think, in that bit. And then the Wonder Moment bag for the activity is some nice little wooden eggs with some nice twine that they can then make their own little Easter egg decoration. And again, you can use that opportunity to be talking about life and new life and so on and so on. And what else have I got is all written in our user guide. And then I've got in here, which is really nice just to give them at the end of this scene, is a nice little map, little A5 map that they can fold up and put in their own Easter in a box, and it'll help them reflect and tell the story themselves and remember it. So that's pretty much all of the boxes. Good.
Amazing. Well done, Jane. Good work. She's got a lot of tidying up to do now. Great. Thanks, everybody, for your attention through that. Hopefully that's, you know, really shown you what the resource is about. Before we talk about kind of organisation and how this might happen in schools this year and or next year, just going to show you what the resource entails that we're giving to you, and particularly have a little conversation about resources. So let me just share my screen again. Not that one. This is it. Here we go. Okay, so that link that we've posted in the chat, and we'll post it again at the end, will take you to this file, Easter in the Box, the movie. And this is the user guide that you will have, which contains the script, everything you need to know. There's the introduction, there's some an explanation about the resource, there's some ideas about supervising it. That preparation thing is probably quite important with the Easter story, because as you'll know, if you ever go into schools, lots of children don't know the Easter story. And so it's really quite important that they hear the story in the week or the couple of days before they do Easter in a Box. So we suggest that you would say that to the teacher, or you might, you know, that to ask them to read it, or you, hopefully eventually you'll be able to go in and do that with them. There's some stuff about health and safety, and there's some ideas for how this could be followed up. And then there's a little idea of a script for an introduction if you were introducing yourself to a class or a group to explain Easter in a Box. And then there we go, there's the script. It just takes you all the way through all that you need to know. I meant to say actually that at the end, when Jane finished unpacking that last box, I think it does say in the script, it may or may not, I'm not sure, but we said to finish, provide some popcorn. That you could provide popcorn for the children to enjoy, or give out chocolate eggs at the end there, just to kind of have a little bit of a celebration, a kind of movie style celebration at the end. So that's the user guide. And then you'll also get the map, the movie set map, which is there to print off. And then there is some download cast lists. Let's make that a little bigger. So there's a cast list for each scene there to print off. There's also some downloadable bits and bobs. So these are the, so Easter in a Box is actually, as you probably could tell, it's just 6 boxes. They're not in one big box. They're just ribboned, tied together with a big ribbon, and then there's a label with them. So there's some labels there to print off. There's some other labels here, which it might be good to stick onto the side of your resource. Just in case, you know, in future years, 2 or 3 years down the line, maybe you've left your roll or your post and someone finds Easter in a Box in a cupboard, and they don't know what it is or how to use it. There's our website address there, so they could be in touch. Then there's the box labels there to print off and stick on, the Wonder Moment labels, and the photographs that you'll need of the teachers, the crowd, and the empty scene. Then there are these emoji sheets for you to print off. I think there's 8 sets on each A4 for the children. So there's that. And then, so now I'm just going to say a bit about resources. So there's a resource list there for you, and it's got every single item that you would need. And then the ones with the blue dots are part of that downloadable pack I've just showed you. And then there are some with a red dot, and these are the things that would need replenishing. So things like the felt pens, the paper strips, the egg boxes, because they're going to get their consumables, they're going to get used up. So there's a list there for every scene and all the things that you would need. And then also Jane, by her magic, has produced this. It's not really officially a part of the resource, but it's a really handy thing because it's an Excel sheet which shows you, if it will load, it shows you where Jane ordered all the bits and bobs. Obviously, other brands are available, but we just thought that in terms of speed, for this year particularly, you might appreciate links to where we bought things. There's absolutely no pressure to buy exactly the same things we bought at all, but that's just there for you if it's helpful. or you could have a look and get the idea, and then you might be able to find something a bit better, or maybe a bit cheaper. So that's there for you to download and help as well, hopefully. So all the things in each of the boxes. So yeah, just a word about resources. So obviously this year is different to, we hope, to future years. You know, Jane did a remarkable job getting all those things together, but she did have to order pretty much every single item online, which has its cost, along with the post and packing as well. We're really hoping that, and doing it that way, it cost about £250. Obviously, when things return a bit more to normal, you can raid church cupboards, you've got stuff at home, you can go around and borrow things from people, you can get people at church making things, you can go to charity shops and pound shops. So we're really hopeful that it wouldn't cost that much, but we would really encourage you to, you know, our heart for this resource is that it would be really good quality. It's so lovely for the children to handle sort of really nice items, and for the school to see that it matters enough to the church that they've, you know, it's not just any old bits and bobs pulled out of the bottom of a box. And so there's no pressure to spend what we did or to get the things we did, but we'd really encourage you to try to, you know, source really nice items if you possibly can. And again, that will be a lot easier in future years. Does anyone have any questions at the moment about resources specifically? At the moment? No? Okay, brilliant. So that was a bit about resources and cost. And then Jane, do you want to say a bit of something about supervision and the way that this could potentially happen organisationally?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going on what happened with Christmas in a Box this year, you know, in 2020, at the end of 2020, and imagining that for in the next few weeks that schools will probably end up doing similar to what happened with Christmas in a Box. So Christmas in a Box was used by churches just offering it to the schools, and a member of staff leading it with a whole class. That was one way that it was used. Some church people joined in at the end of the session, okay, maybe in the final bit right at the end, like when we're saying about the popcorn bit or whatever, and answering questions and sort of saying their own belief and how it's changed their lives, this story, and taking questions. So we envisage that might happen. Some churches have done it, they've led the whole thing, but remotely, actually, you know, on Zoom or whatever, and done it like a tag team with a teacher. That's another way that it's been used with Christmas in a Box. And then some church volunteers have actually, even at Christmas time, they were able to go in. So I know that there's a couple that have already got permission to go in a few weeks' time. It depends what's going on and what your position is, and so on and so on. So I think all of those things might happen. I know for me, with our local village school, a teacher's going to deliver it. I've sort of got her trained up and ready, and she's excited about it, so she's going to do it. And the church just know, the school know that it's been us that's given it to them. So that's the sort of ways for this year. Also, Christmas in a Box was done, some people did it in small groups. So I know there's one sort of chaplain that went in and she just did it every lunchtime with a small group, and they enjoyed doing that. Just lastly, another teacher did it for collective worship, Christmas in a Box, and did one box with her class bubble every week, and they got really into that. So that's another way that Christmas in a Box was used, that I can imagine this being used. So that's sort of this year. My hope for it for next year, both Christmas in a Box and this, is I hope that, you know, just take the example of our local village, I really hope that I'll be able to get, you know, a little team of us to be able to go in and run it for a class in rotation, little groups around each table. So I'll have my box, I'll be doing, I don't know, let's say Palm Sunday, and you know, another volunteer be doing the other scenes and whatever, and the children will rotate round, and even though that'll be out of sequence, I think because they already know the story and they're on a movie set map, I think they'll probably cope with that. So yeah, so that's the sort of plan. But we're really intrigued. It's a pilot. We're really intrigued how it gets used and what happens with it, really.
Fantastic, thanks, Jane. And when Jane was saying earlier that with Christmas in a Box, some people led the whole thing remotely, I think you meant, didn't you, that the objects were in the school being passed around? Yeah. Just to clarify, that might have been obvious, but just to clarify,
although one person did then they then used it in their community. They got all the different children that they knew in the community, and they dropped round, you know, like we had a little box for Christmas in a Box, a bit similar to this. They dropped round all the activities for all the families to do, and so they led the thing at home like I'm doing here, and then the children did the activities in their home. They did that with about 25 families. So do you know what I mean? Like, I'd never thought of doing that. You say that it's super flexible. Who knows what else will happen. So yeah.
Great, thank you. Just answering your question there. It's a really good idea as well, Lisa. Yeah, it would work brilliantly as some RE lessons. Awesome. We know some, I don't know if you said this, Jane, we know some teachers who led short collective worship circle time type sessions as well. Yeah, fantastic. Great. Anyone got any thoughts or questions that you want to ask about that aspect out loud? Feel free in the chat or just unmute yourself if you would like to. Yeah, go on, Tony.
Yeah, I was just thinking about our own context. I'm thinking about doing it initially in a church environment with young people. And my initial, before I knew much about the resource, my initial thought was, could this be a kind of like an alternative or a young person's version of Good Friday, a way of exploring the Easter story in a reflective way and an engaging way, an accessible way. But that would require doing it in one go. By the sound of it, lots of people have done it in smaller segments, so one box a day or whatever. Any thoughts on how that would work?
Yeah, I mean, because obviously we've designed it with being used in school in mind. You know, we've mostly thought it through in terms of how it might fit into a school day for primary school days. We don't think we know of anyone who's used it in church yet, but certainly if you were to do all the boxes at once, it would, like I said in the chat, I think it would be a good couple of hours that you'd need.
I think if I was back working in a church as a children's minister like I used to do, I'd love to do this over like a couple of Sundays and maybe save a couple of the boxes for Good Friday. Yeah, I think it could really work. I think it could work with adults as well, actually. I really think you could adapt it in quite a discovery sort of way. Yeah, I think it's a very adaptable resource that you've got and what you've got going on. Yeah.
Great. Any other thoughts anybody got? Or ideas or questions about that? No? Okay, great. Mine's trundling over, hopefully, thinking about the possibilities. Okay, I think we've covered most of the areas of information we wanted to give you. So we've put a link to the resource in the chat, and I think Jane also put a little link to a little publicity video. So if you were wanting to give someone a minute-long video of this training that you came to show them what it was about, that the link is in the chat, and so do have a look at that and pass it on if you'd like to. Feel free to pass the resource on to anybody else as well. We're also going to post the training video from tonight on our YouTube channel, so if you wanted them to see the whole training hour, then that's possible. Equally, if you wanted to do that next year, but we will also host live training again next year and also this year for Christmas in a Box. And it'll all be a little bit sooner before, because we were racing against time. We didn't start creating Easter in a Box till first week in January. We'll do it all in January next year. So there'll be a bit more time to get things together as well. So that was about that. I also wondered if you would mind if I took a screenshot. Hopefully you saw in the email that I was going to be videoing tonight, and just for our social media, it just is really helpful to have a little shot of people maybe smiling and waving. You never know if that's what you want to do. So I'm just going to count down.
Come on, we could do the wave.
1. Here we go.
Come on, let's do the wave. Come on, disco.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's awesome.
We didn't have to dance.
Are there any more just final questions that anybody has about any aspect of Easter in a Box, the movie, before we wrap up? No? Everyone good? That's great.
Sorry, Liz.
Oh, yes. Go on, Phil.
Sorry. Phil Baskerville from Guernsey. Just what's your kind of plan A with the way it runs? Is it you're working with one particular year group through a day? Is that what I'm picking up?
Yeah, good question. We would really encourage this year in the kind of pilot phase to maybe have a go with one class or one year group. And right. Then you could repeat it with that year group year on year, because it would always be different children. Yeah. You know, in normal times, and if you're a kind of, you know, right, let's do this person, and you've got the relationship with the school and everything, you might do it in 2 year groups. You know, they might do it in year 4 and year 6 and repeat that every year. Yeah, so that's kind of, and you know, I guess it just depends on, maybe not I doubt you'd get given you might get given a whole day, perhaps in a church school on a special RE day, but you're much more likely to get given, I would say, smaller sessions. Do you normally work in schools, Phil?
Yeah, we're all the time in schools, teaching in every school on the island, which is fantastic. We're teaching in 15 primary schools.
Wow.
And you know, it's as they're just open as much as we can give, really. So I'm just thinking this is a fantastic resource. And there's certain things we target certain year groups with already. So we do a walk through the Bible course with year 5s, we do a transition lesson with year 6s. So I'm looking at specific year groups that we could do something with. But in terms of the day, so you're talking about 6 sessions. Would you do those as separate sessions, or how would that be?
Do you mean if you were going to try and do it in one day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know what your plan would be, Liz. I mean, would it be a day? Would you prefer something other than that, really?
Anything really. There's not really a kind of ideal. I think it's about what works with the school and the teachers, and what works with their timetable. I mean, it could work. I think, as James sort of said, it could work really well. If you had 6 weeks up to Easter, which we don't, you know, doing 1 session a week. In current circumstances, if you're going to do it this year, there's a bit less time, so it might work really well to do it. You know, a couple. I can't even think how many weeks there are till Easter, but you know, a couple of boxes a week. Or it might be that you say, could we come in on 2 mornings a week and do it like that? Or could we come in all of the 5 days leading up to the Easter holidays and squeeze them in like that? Maybe do the movie trailer in scene 1 on Monday. You know, really, literally anything could work in terms of, you know, I don't think there's an ideal, because I think the children it won't matter to them. Really, they will just get into the rhythm and they'll just really enjoy it. So I don't think it'll matter to them. It's really what fits for you and the school.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to do it in one go, when I did Christmas in a Box, it worked really nicely. I had just over 2 hours, you know, 2.5 hours, and all in one stint works. You know, if you're thinking you've got to go round quite a lot of schools, Phil, then that might work best for you. It depends.
Sure. So working roughly with each of the 6 kind of boxes, if you like, is about 20 minutes worth then, really.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're saying 2.5 hours a lot. So yes, okay. So it'd be that'd be fine, I think.
Yeah.
We often get 40-minute shots at a time, so we could do 2 at a time kind of thing over 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, great.
You could. Obviously this year you've got quarantine things to do.
Yeah. We're thinking probably for next year at this stage, but we're on ahead of the game. We've already got Christmas in a Box. We want that one, definitely. But it was, you know, we saw you on Prayer Spaces actually, Liz, and I followed it up and just thought that looks really, really interesting.
Great.
You know, it just hits the mark for us. I think it's when we do it, really. But we thought it might be pushing it for Easter.
Yeah.
Because we're slightly different from the UK in terms of, I mean, we've hardly had any restrictions at all for the last 6 months. It all came back in January, but from June till January we've been absolutely as normal completely in Guernsey.
Wow.
We've just had it away from us again, but we don't know what's going to happen, you know, the next few weeks. We can't go in at the moment, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I would doubt we'll get in before Easter, really.
Yeah.
So in which case next year's best. Sorry, I've talked a lot.
Wow.
There.
No,
Well,
it's
tell you I would-
really, really lovely to understand people's context and what they're doing. Are you a church or a schools work charity?
Schools work charity, working alongside churches all the way through. So it's trying to connect schools and churches, really, and we kind of act as a catalyst for that. So we
Right.
come up with ideas with volunteers on it all the time.
Fantastic.
Sounds like you're
Cool.
us, but in Guernsey, Phil.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it is. I think
Great.
it is by the sound of it. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. It's really exciting. Please tell us how it goes when you do use them at next Christmas and Easter. We'd love to see photos, and yeah, be great. Anybody else? Anything else? No? Okay, fantastic. So last bits and bobs. Yeah, if you're not an amazing razzle dazzle schools work charity in Guernsey and you're feeling a little overwhelmed or whatever, but you want to have a go this year, we'd encourage you to, and to just go really small. Maybe just work with one class or even one small group. Yeah, and then come along to our training next year if you want to. Bring others, that would be great. That's it, we're finishing ahead of time. So and thank you so much for joining us, and do stay in touch if it's okay. Oh, last thing, if it's okay, I'm going to email you all feedback forms anyway in a couple of weeks, because I'll just do that blanket. If you don't use them, it's absolutely fine. And then I'll also ask you if you're happy for us to be in touch with you about future training and things. If that's the case, you just need to answer with a yes. Thanks so much for coming, everybody, and for your attention. It's really nice to meet you all, and have a nice rest of the evening.